like a little cheese. You going in for the night, Nate? Hello, Savannah. Hello, Savannah. And welcome to another edition of Kandily Kesha. I am coming to you live from the Savannah Trade and Convention Center on Hutchinson Island. It has been an amazing week here at the state level conference, Georgia Municipal Association. And I have with me, as always, when we come to these conferences, I like to introduce you to people from across the state. And when we're at the National League of Cities across the United States. So tonight I am joined by Mr. Nathaniel Colliers from Washington.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of Washington, Georgia? There is a Washington, Georgia.
First city named after George Washington.
The first city named after George Washington. I want you to just take a seat, Nate, and tell us a little bit more about Washington, Georgia. Tell us how long you have been in council, your city population. What are you working on? What do you guys do well? What can you do better? And what is in store for the future for you?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Nathaniel Colliers, Senior from Washington, Georgia. We as a city of population of about 5,000 in the city and about 5 in the county. I've been with the city council about 20 years now. Got 2 more years to go before I go for re-election or whatever. But we're working on a lot of stuff in Washington. We're trying to bridge the gap, as you know, trying to work together. We have three city councilmen white, 3 city councilmen black, and the mayor, which is white. We are 68% minority in the city. And like I said, my fellow councilman, Maceo Mahoney, is running for running for mayor, so we're supporting him this year to get the mayor seat. He's a city councilman, been there for about 10 years now, and we're here in beautiful Savannah, Georgia, at our usual conference every year. Glad to be here. Glad to be with Kesha and also Alicia. We're supporting them 1,000% in the election of Kesha for mayor and Alicia for Alderwoman. So please get out and vote. Make this change for a better place. What's going on in Washington, Georgia is we're trying to merge back, get our police department back. Other than that, we're doing real good.
Well, thank you so much, Nate. Listen,
Thank you for having me.
When I met you, Nate, I met you at a time when we both were kind of going through some challenges on council.
Yes.
And you seem to have overcome yours. I think I have overcome mine. And as I chart my course to become the 68th mayor
that's right.
of the city of Savannah.
Yes. And we support you 1,000%.
Well, thank you so much, sir. We really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And keep doing what you're doing, sir. sir.
Absolutely. You too.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Absolutely.
Yes. Okay, I snagged another council person here, and I have Councilman Keith Turman from the city of Royston.
Royston.
Where is that?
We're actually in northeast Georgia. Yeah, we're located right between the city of Hartwell and Livonia.
Between Hartwell and Livonia.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and what is your population size?
The population of Royston is about 3,000 population.
Okay, and how long have you been on council?
Listen, I've been on council 21 years, served as council.
Wow.
23 total. I'm in my second term as actually mayor for Royston.
Okay, what's good happening in Royston? What have you
Well, we'd like you to come to Royston, and we have. We just built a new amphitheater. We have an amphitheater we're going to have concerts out. We have a 44-acre wellness park. It's got a lot of activities. It's got walking trails. It's got disc golf there. It's got a lot of activities for the young and old alike. So we got a lot of things going on.
Okay, and so are there any issues that you guys are facing or any challenges that you have?
Listen, I think our city is unique just like everybody else. We're having a lot of issues with blight properties. We're looking for ways to get some of the blight properties taken care of and to rehab and revitalize our downtown area.
And so for the Georgia Municipal Association, I know whenever I have the opportunity to come to the association, not only am I getting information, education, and knowledge from the classes, but connecting with the various council persons from across the state and the United States gives you great encouragement to know that you're not the only one going through. But is there any particular highlight of a class or a program or a speaker that stands out for you?
Well, I've been here, like I said, for 23 years now. I've taken probably 400 hours of training classes.
Wow.
And the one I just taken this past week was Taxation 101 and Employment Benefits 101. So just find out what the retirement benefits are for our city, what the investment is long term. So every class that I take is always going to be educational. It always gives an opportunity to take what I learned from here and take it back to my city and make my city better.
Well, I know that the Georgia Municipal Association focuses a lot on our pension and our pension plans, and I know we have our retirees here in Savannah who have approached us because they think that we can do better by them and they want us to increase the return that they're currently receiving. So I'm sure that communities across the state are facing those same requests.
Well, they are, but the problem with that is it's taxpayers' money. You have to be good stewards of taxpayers' funds. And so just because the employees want the request, we want to make sure we take care of our employees because they are our biggest investment. But at the same time, we got to make sure that we can do this long term. And the retirement benefit is not just one you do today, it's going to be forever.
Right.
So you got to be able to make sure you do it and make it affordable. It might sound good today, but you have to depend on everything with the markets where your money is actually invested in to make sure you're going to have it long range that it can meet your retirement needs for the employees.
And we know we have had some very volatile times where our finances are concerned. What is your population size?
3,000.
3,000. Okay, okay. So you guys have like a family in your community.
Pretty much, yeah. Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for stopping by. It was good to connect with you.
Likewise.
And I hope that you've enjoyed something or you had an opportunity to enjoy Savannah a little bit.
I just met you.
Oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Take care. Macy, are you up next, sir? Hello, Savannah. Hello, Savannah. I'm here again, coming to you from the Georgia Municipal Association Conference. This is the annual summer conference for Georgia Municipal Association. There are over 600 cities in this state, and almost all of them are member cities of the Georgia Municipal Association. This gives us an opportunity to come and address, as well as focus on, learn, and garner information on a myriad of topics and issues from homelessness to crime, taxes, zoning, you name it. We are exposed to all of those elements, and it's always wonderful to get all of that information. Sometimes I feel like we know a little bit too much, because when we come back after coming from here, we have an expectation to put into practice what it is that we have learned, and sometimes we're challenged in doing that. And so with that, we want to continually put ourselves in position to learn, but also to meet others around the state. As I stated previously, it's helpful and encouraging to know that you are not the only one who is facing the various issues that we often have as council members. And so I'm going to snag a couple other people. I have Mr. Maceo, who is also from Washington, Georgia. And Maceo is running for mayor of Washington, Georgia. So I'm going to let you talk to him.
Yep.
Maceo, welcome to Savannah.
Beautiful city.
Yes. And guess what his favorite food is, y'all? Our shrimp. Maceo,
Shrimp.
you are a council person in Washington, Georgia, and you have been on council for how many years?
12 years.
12 years you have been in public service, and you are currently charting your course for mayor.
Yeah.
And so what was a deciding factor for you to run for mayor?
Well, our city is composed of 2 districts, and our district, which is predominantly African American, we can't get nothing done at the table, so we got to put the man in the right seat. So
okay,
that's what we're doing.
And so what are some of the successes that you have been able to garner? Anything since you've been on council?
Yeah. So I had our old park that was never named. I had it named after first African American to run for city council was elected. Our first black mayor that was elected, I got his portrait put into the history museum. We had an old cemetery that was named Black Cemetery. We had that renamed to be appropriate for the 21st century that we live in. Our cemeteries wasn't uniform, so I made sure that we had street signage and had a pretty archway put in, and then our Parks and Rec. We didn't have no AC at our Parks and Rec, so collaborated with the county and got 2 AC units put in up there, so now the kids can enjoy fun and learning activities year round. So we've been working.
And I know that Washington is not without its challenges. Just since you all have been here, in the last couple of days that I have seen you guys in the corridors and in class, you've had 2 shootings.
Yeah,
and
one murder. 2 shootings, 1 murder.
2 shootings and 1 resulted in a homicide.
Right.
So that's pretty alarming.
Yeah.
And so what are some of the crime strategies, or what are you guys doing to tackle those issues, or do you find yourself amidst something that's sort of needing your attention immediately?
Well, the situation that we're in Washington, we should have never got in that position. We had a mayor that didn't look like us. Mother got pulled over in a DUI. She got DUI going through the stop, and in 3 months, they disbanded the whole police department.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and so it left my district, which is predominantly African American, without any coverage. And anytime you got poverty, you're gonna have crime. So where we did have a police department, it was a sense of presence, and it was not more like harassment, but more of community policing. I seen the presence there, and since we haven't had that, our young people, when they're not being taught conflict resolutions in the school system, it's kind of hard for them to deal with the everyday challenges that they're dealing with now. So we have a lot of gangs, we have gang issues, we having gun violence issues. So there's a lot of things that we're actually dealing with. So hopefully, since the sheriff department now is doing the law enforcement in our city, hopefully we can foster a better working relationship to try to get this thing done.
We're going on if you want to join. Not right now.
Well, listen, but I wish you well in your endeavor.
Yeah.
As you chart your course to become mayor of Washington, Georgia, and I look forward to hearing some good things from you. When is the election?
November.
So guess what? You have to take this tagline back to Washington, Georgia when you talk to your constituents.
I got you.
Can you repeat after me?
I got you.
Remember in November.
Remember in November. I got you.
Okay.
Best regards to you. Love you for it. Take care of yourself. All right, Steve. Bye-bye.
Okay. I snagged another one, y'all. Listen, they had a summit, a symposium. We got this flyer. We heard about a symposium for Black male city council members. How do y'all leave us out? And so I guess this was the other day. But it seems to me like everybody's coming as a black man. Did you go to the Black Man Symposium?
I did not.
You were not invited?
No, I got the message late.
You got the message late?
Uh-huh.
But what do you know about that? What?
Well, when I looked at it, I saw some. It was mixed. It was ladies there as well.
Okay.
So yeah, it wasn't just black male, but I think
I was about to say, what y'all trying to form a coup or something?
No.
Overthrow. They're trying to overthrow GMA. Get all the women out. You're not gonna do that.
No, I believe it was around equity, and they just really wanting to understand and see that for the most part that as black elected officials we're not supported, and then we're attacked a little bit more, moving into a position, but it was put on and orchestrated by mostly black males.
Okay, I got you.
But when I looked at it on the news, because the news covered it, it was actually diverse.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Well, that's what they say, y'all. That's what they say. Anyways, I want this gentleman to introduce himself. I tell you, this is by far one of the smartest men I have met over the years. I first met him at the National League of Cities conference in Washington, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken.
So.
Yes, and since that time, it's always a pleasure when I connect with him because he comes from a different angle in terms of problem solving. So that's cool.
All right.
Introduce yourself and tell us where you're from.
Hello, I'm Joshua Daraso, chairman of the city of Cordele. So in our system, the chairman is a mayor equivalent. We just have a different name for it.
Okay, and what is your population in Cordele?
Right under 13,000.
13,000. And how long have you been on council?
18 months.
18 months, so you're new.
I'm new,
so
that's right.
Tell me, what was the impetus for you running for office? What was your motivating factor that pulled you into public service?
Well, I grew up in my hometown, and I lived throughout different communities, and I saw different communities progressing, and each time I go back home, we were not. And we're not some middle of the road, rural, backwards community. We sit on the corridor 75, and if anybody know what Albany State is, Highway 300, so most places in the state to get to Albany, you have to come through Cordele. If you're going to travel down to Florida, you have to come through Cordele. So I see the potential that the city has, and I saw the city leadership not really living up to the untapped potential that we had.
Okay. And so in terms of your function on council and some of the issues facing your city, what are, we talk a lot about what's wrong and some of the problems.
Right.
But what are you most proud of, and what have been some of your successes in your city?
So proud of is everything that we need, we have right in the city of Cordele. I'm proud of the people that get up every day and make the city great as it is. And I see our job is to help them do better. When they have shortfalls, when they need a hand up, our job is, and for the most part, we have that community feel. We're small enough to have that community feel, and that we look out and watch out for one another. And so some of the accomplishments that, we had over the last 18 months, we was able to navigate and have a governing body that looks more like the citizens that we have. And so that's one of the biggest successes. Now we got a little work to do as far as getting more progressive policy passed, but that's going to come. That's definitely going to come.
And what about some of the challenges that you've had?
The challenges that we have is poverty and also crime, which usually from a social worker standpoint is my profession. That's usually going to go hand in hand. What we got to do and what we got to understand is there's always going to be infrastructure issues. There's always going to need water, sewage, buildings, streets, and sidewalks. But we got to invest in people as well, because you can make a place nice as it can be, but if you don't develop the people, at some point they're not going to know how to take care of that place. So some of the challenges that we work on is a big disagreement about direction we're going. We have an election this year, and I am branding that election as the biggest election in the city of Cordele history, because it would determine what direction the city would go in for generations to come.
That's interesting.
Yep.
And what are some of the dynamics and elements that lend itself to that turnaround? Just because of the lack of progression?
Well, it's because, first of all, when you elect people, you got to know first and foremost that the elected officials are advocate for whoever they're representing. Their job is not to play nice. Their job is not to be nice to the people that sits around us, to be cordial and kind. But however, let them know for the first time, if you're a city like ours, I'm the youngest chairman ever elected, that at the end of the day, that you're carrying their voice to the halls of power. And when you carry that voice to the halls of power, they need to understand that it may be a perspective of view that you have not heard before. And that's okay because we're all here now, and the word that's progressing more is to share power. We have to be willing to share power that traditionally have not been heard, voices that have not been heard before. And that's a beautiful thing when we're moving forward and we can share the voice on spot. I tell people each day I'm able to talk about racism because I challenge myself on sexism. I can't tap racism when I'm pushing off another. So what I try to do, if I'm the male in the room, even if it's my position, to speak on things, and I have a subordinate that's a female under me, if they're going to say the same thing, I'm going to say I don't have to chime in as their supervisor and man up them. My job is to support them through that. So we have to understand, even with me, I face a lot of generational challenges, and our ideas are different. And most of us because of our generation, but at the same time, there has to be room for diversity in age and race and sex and all of that things. And those different voices what makes democracy works and great, that we're not leaving the majority of people out.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
love.
appreciate
Always,
you.
always. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you for always
Thank you.
being supportive
That's right. Always.
and always having positive things to say.
That's right. Take care.
So listen, y'all, the GMA is not just for elected officials, it's also for staffers. And we have some clerks here. Our clerk is Mr. Mark Massey. Mr. Mark Massey is well known throughout the state of Georgia and beyond. And so he does a phenomenal job for us here in Savannah. But with me, I have Miss Lisa Johnson from Lake City. Is it Lake City? Lake Park, Georgia. I want her to just tell us a little bit about Lake Park, who she is, and how long she has been connected to their city government. Hi. Lisa, thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time. So tell me, how long have you been connected to your local government? And tell us about Lake Park and where it is and what's your population size.
I've been with Lake Park for only about a year. I've been in local government for 18.
Oh, okay.
18. Lake Park is right outside Valdosta, south of Valdosta, right on the Florida line, and it's a friendly historical community. They have a lot of stock in the history that came before, because what came before us is important. It helps us know what our basis, what our foundation was, and it helps us remember what the values are going forward. I heard a little bit of Joshua's what are you saying, and I have to say I totally agree. I think that there are a lot of people out there this year that are, or recently, in recent years, that would have us at each other's throats over this thing, that thing, the other thing. But teamwork is where it all is. Working together, the way Americans work together, and the way we were intended to work together. And I think as long as we remember that and we do that, we will be strong.
And listen, 17 years in local government, I would imagine you have seen it all.
I've seen quite a bit.
And so in this role as clerk, I know our clerk in our clerk's office and his staff, they juggle an enormous amount of work.
We do.
And the attention to detail, I always find fascinating. And like, I would get fired on like the first day. I would get fired on the first day and wouldn't be given 90 days. The enormous amount of work that you juggle and how accurate you have to be. And there's very little margin for error.
It is a calling. To be a city clerk is a calling. You have to have a passion for it to be able to do it well. Because you're right, there's a lot of detail. Our primary function is to record history.
Right.
You know, future generations will look at what we are recording and what we are preserving, and they will know what we did, why we did it, how we did it, and what the result was. And that will help them, in turn, make their decisions if they have the same problem again. That's exactly right. Spanish flu, COVID. You know, early on they said the closest thing we've ever seen to it is Spanish flu. we learned a lot from what they were able to keep from Spanish flu. Fresh air and sunshine reduces it. You've got to keep this, and that made a difference. I think it helped us a lot. But I think mostly what we learned is we have to keep working together. We have to not let others separate us, divide us, and we have to remember where we came from in that spirit of unity.
Remembering where we came from. That is so key.
Remembering where we came from. That's right. And taking pride in where we came from. We may have suffered through difficulties, but I think rather than focus on those difficulties, we need to focus on the fact that we came through it. And it took strength, and it took incredible strength of character to come through it. We need to remember that. We need to not forget that.
That's interesting. Thank you for pointing that out. Now tell me, do you know Mark Massey, our clerk here in Savannah?
I do. Mark is great.
Listen, he is the coolest guy
he is.
I know. And his job is so hard because we have what I consider an off-the-chain council. It gets quite challenging sometimes, and he really does a great job.
He does do a great job, and he is. We have a listserv, and
it's interesting that you mentioned listserv.
Mark is he answers questions frequently. His input is invaluable. As I'm sure you know, he's taught several classes at our training conferences. He's just phenomenal. His experiences.
Yeah, I find it interesting how you all can. I have this little line here.
Sorry.
I find it interesting how.
Does that help?
Yes, it does. I find it interesting how you all can engage but not be engaged at the same time, because sometimes the clerk is called upon to weigh in on something, but you always have to be impartial and unbiased.
Yeah.
And there's a fine line.
There is, and I tell people that we're non-political for a reason. You know, our job is to give you the information as elected officials that you need to make the best possible decisions. We can't allow our personal opinions or your opinion and his opinion to color that. You know, we deal in facts, we deal in history, because not that opinions are not matter, don't matter. We can let you know the varied opinions that we get, but for our position, we have to remain impartial, or we can't do our jobs. We can't help you as much as we need to, as much as you depend on us to help you.
And that's what I appreciate so much about Mr. Massey. He's able to.
He's really good at it, isn't he?
Yes,
he's really good at it.
I don't know how he does it, but he does. He does. Well, listen, Lisa, thank you so much for stopping by, and I trust that our paths will cross again.
I hope so.
And thank you for helping our community know a little bit more about how important the clerk's role is. It's more than open records requests. Yeah. It's more than putting our agendas together.
It is. We kind of serve as the bridge.
Yes.
You know, our departments serve as the bridge between the public and the council and various other departments. We're the ones that get it all. And we pass that on, and we have to do that impartially.
Well, thank you so much, Lisa. We really appreciate it. And I hope you have enjoyed Savannah.
Oh, I've loved Savannah. Thank you so much.
Oh, you are so welcome.
You have a wonderful evening.
You too, sweetheart. Take care.
Bye-bye. Thank you for the wine. Oh, I'm going to remember that.
Yes. Okay, Savannah. People are being slow to come out for obvious reasons. As you can hear the music in the background. Tonight is the night of what you would consider a closing reception. So folks are in there enjoying the good food from Be Local, Lady and Sons, Too Smart Cookies. Who else did we have in there? I think they had somebody from Thunderbolt or Tybee in there. They have poker, they have pool, they have a lot of activities for people and their families as well. A lot of people are shy to come on the camera, so they've been denying me, but let me see if I can snag this lady right here.
Yeah.
This is my weekly live that I do with on Facebook for my citizens.
Okay.
Okay, Savannah. I have with me Randy. Randy is with the Georgia Municipal Association. Randy, have a seat and just tell people who you are, what you do for GMA.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm Randy Briskin. I work in the retirement area for GMA. So we're the folks that oversee the pensions for all the city's employees and also the plans where employees can save for themselves with the 457 plan. That's what we do.
You know what? I'm so glad I snagged you and so glad you stopped. So just last week, Thursday was our city council meeting. And we are at mid-year budget.
Right.
And so the retirees have approached us, as they have every year since I've been in office. Okay. And I've been in office 3.5 years, because they want an increase. And so tell us
what a delicate how retirees would like an increase. I don't think I've heard that before. They want an increase in the plan and make the plan a little bit richer so that they get a little bit more at the end. Yes. Okay.
So, GMA, we have over 600 cities in Georgia, and almost all of them are member cities of the Georgia Municipal Association.
That's correct.
And one of your big jobs, one of your important jobs, is to kind of like guide cities and help them with information and education as they manage their pension plans.
Absolutely.
And that's a little bit above my pay grade. So talk to us a little bit about what that looks like, and how do we balance protecting the future, retirees of the future,
right,
but giving some regard to retirees of old.
Sure. So yeah, it's a delicate balance, as you said, because anytime you want to enhance the plan or make it richer, well, where does that money come from? And so we have actually over 290 different plans, and not a single one is the same, because it's not one size fits all type of situation. But for a lot of the cities, GMA ultimately is just the administrator. It depends on what the city thinks they can do, what they can afford. If the city ever does want to make a change, we go through a process where we say, okay, we need to see who everybody is, ages, everything else, demographics, and then we give it to actuaries, and they will tell you how much approximately more it would be to add to the plan. And there's different ways that you can add to the plan. You can either lower the retirement age, or you can increase the multiple. So because typically a pension is composed of three things: how long you've been there, your average salary, and a multiple. So
Randy, for me, I'm an advocate for people, right?
Right.
And when it comes to local government, my philosophy is to be citizen-led and policy-driven, right?
Okay.
And so there's a delicate balance between giving citizens what they want and matching that with a policy that makes sense fiscally.
Absolutely.
And so when I have retirees coming for 3 years in a row saying that they want this, they want this, they want this, and I see in real time where we can cut wasteful spending.
Right.
We're a very top-heavy organization. And so I see that there can be a little wiggle room and balance.
Yeah.
And so do you think it's reasonable to give consideration to some of those type of realities?
Again, it's ultimately what the city wants to do. Those who are already retired usually have had their careers. The plan is what it is.
Okay.
And by law, you cannot really give them anything else other than what they earned when they were in the plan.
Okay.
Having said that, some cities will, on occasion, do a one-time cost of living bump up, or they might incorporate a cost of living adjustment in their plan. But typically, you cannot offer that, unfortunately, to those who've already retired. Because the way the plans are, and legally it's very straightforward, what they earned during the time they were there, during the plan as it was created, is what they get.
Well, that's a little bit complicated when you give consideration to the environmental changes that we have financially.
Yep.
We have a lot of fiscal volatility, as well as in our housing market in Savannah is going crazy.
Absolutely.
And those retirees are on the other end of that. But thank you for shedding light on this. I really appreciate your time. And you've always been so kind and supportive when I'm in the hallways and I can't find my way to my class.
All right. Well, at least I did one thing right this weekend. All right.
Thank you so
Sure
much.
thing. Bye.
Take care. Thank you so much. Okay, Savannah. I think that is about it. Hi. Are you a council member?
No, ma'am, I'm a city clerk.
You're another city clerk?
City clerk, yes.
For what city?
Sylvester.
Sylvester. How long have you been city clerk?
I've been 2 years at Sylvester and 4 years in Warwick.
Do you know Mark Massey?
I know of Mark Massey.
Oh, see, our clerk is famous, y'all.
Yes, he is, absolutely. He's one of the go-to clerks.
Well, come introduce yourself to my live. Hey, sir, can you come introduce yourself to my live? Okay. She said no. No, sit right here. Hector.
What city is that?
Savannah.
Yes,
We're
absolutely.
here in Savannah.
Bless you.
What's your name? Everybody's not as brave, y'all. I'm Keisha Gibson Carter.
You're running for mayor.
Yes, yeah, you remember from National League of Cities.
Yeah,
that's right.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, I remember because my daughter's name is Danielle. Listen, Hector.
Yes, ma'am.
I am Keisha at large, Post 1 here for the great city of Savannah. And we're at GMA.
Yes, we are.
This is the most coveted summer conference.
It is.
Wait, it doesn't get better than this, right?
No, not really, no.
So,
I've enjoyed myself a lot.
I bet you have. So
I have one more class tomorrow.
And I do too. My class is at 8:15 in the morning.
Yeah, same.
Building bridges.
I am at
my class.
Current issues, understanding funding, and fighting homelessness.
Okay, awesome. So I attended the homelessness in Georgia workshop today, and I didn't walk away with too much more than what I already know, but I think we just need to put some
But you're doing a lot of stuff in here, though, Savannah, because I took a tour, and I got to see your tiny homes for veterans, and then the big establishment where you have that whole housing project that has a whole bunch of homes, and they it doesn't even look like a like an affordable housing space. It's like really nice. It's like at a park. I took a whole bunch of pictures. They have a really nice park. They have brick homes everywhere. I don't know what they are. Oh, but it was a partnership between the Mercy Sisters and then
yes,
different funders. But it was like a collaboration of a whole bunch of people, which was very exciting.
Yes, we have a handful of.
You want me to get you a chair?
No, because you're going to talk and I'm just going to answer questions. So you are with the city of Forest Park.
Yes.
How long have you been on council?
Since 2020.
Since 2020. So we came into office together.
Yes.
And so what was the motivating factor for you running for local office?
My motivating factor was just I felt that my council member, rest in peace, she passed away. She I didn't feel like she was representing the whole community, and then I felt like the power that the elected had, they weren't using it, developing community programs. I didn't feel the representation either as like a Hispanic person in a city that has 1/3 of Latinos. So.
Oh wow.
So that, and then just wanted, honestly, I got motivated. I went to a conference and I wanted to run for the school board because I was a teacher then. But then the election was in 4 years, so I ran for city council.
So are you balancing teaching with serving on city council?
So now I actually work for the district itself, finding resources for my schools. So yes, it was hard. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I was teaching, because some stuff like especially GMA trainings happen all during the day.
Yeah.
So I could never make those, and I was advocating for those. But then the pandemic hit, and a lot of stuff went online. So I got to learn that way.
Deep in.
But it was hard. But it was I don't know. I love teaching, so it was never a hassle. Some of the meetings are a hassle at times because of the people that sometimes I have to deal with. But I give everybody the benefit of the doubt, and I assume the best intent always. So.
Gotcha. Now tell me this: your population size for Hispanics is one third of your population.
Yes.
What is your total population?
20,000.
20,000.
Yeah, a little bit less than 20. Yeah.
And what are some of the main? I always like to start off with successes and things you're proud of because we always talk about problems and challenges.
Yes.
But what are you proud of? What have you been able to accomplish?
I would
what are some
say
of your successes?
I would say I was able to establish a youth committee. I was also established a senior committee. So my hope was to bridge the gap between local officials, city officials, municipality, and those populations. So those have, really flowered and just taken off. I've also brought cultural events to our cities, recognizing the Asian population and the Hispanic population through different cultural celebrations.
Um, I got C-Clicks fixed from one of these meetings here, brought it to our city.
Oh,
So excited
wow.
about that.
Awesome.
And just always advocated for a better way, like a newsletter, marketing, just a whole bunch of just different little innovative things that I think help.
Sure.
Yeah, but I guess that and just more accessibility to the people and just advocating more for our schools too. I think the schools are the heart of the community. That's my opinion, but you know, yeah, everybody meets there, and I just want more representation.
And what about some of the challenges? What have been some of the challenges you've had?
I think the challenges
And
we've
things you
had,
need to work on?
myself or just overall.
Your city.
Oh, my city. I think we've come a long way, but I think some of the challenges we've had has just been like elected officials' egos getting in the way within each other. Um, just confrontations between elected officials, our mayor, other elected officials. But I think we're and just outing all the business of the city instead of us try to handling internally. But you know, I think we've worked on it. We've made some huge advances and leaps. We have a city manager that I think is the best city manager, having worked with him, and he's very innovative. So I think we're moving in the right direction. But you know, homelessness is a problem we have in our city. So hopefully we can, you know, try to find something for that because housing is just getting expensive in our city.
Yes, all over Georgia.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So we have a council manager form of government, which translates to a weak mayor.
Yep. Same.
And you, okay. So tell me this: if you wanted to introduce, present, or acknowledge a piece of legislation, an idea, or something to become an ordinance, how do you get something on the agenda? How does that legislative process start for your council?
So we just bring it up to the city manager and he puts it on there.
You could just, as a council member, do that.
I can't just change it, but I will bring it up to him so we can start the conversation and bring it to the agenda. Putting stuff on the agenda is just, I'm an elected official, so I can go to him for that.
Did y'all hear that? He's an elected official. He can just go to his city manager and get an item for presentation, introduction.
Yeah, how else are we going to talk about it?
How else are we going to talk about it?
Exactly, yeah.
And that's where the communication starts, right? Wow, Hector.
Yeah. Wish you the best in your election.
Thank you.
I'll be there stressing with you. So.
Thank you so much.
Come on, not here. So if you win the race, would you keep the Hispanic task force?
Yes, of course. So she asked me if I win the race, will I keep the Hispanic task force? Well, I have to answer that question differently. No, I will not keep the Hispanic task force because currently the Hispanic task force just meets as a task force, right? They're just going at the task. What I would do is have a action committee, right? Mm-hmm. So that we are taking action steps.
What kind of action?
Take action based on whatever that committee or that council presents. Because what happens with the task force, you find yourself meeting and talking about a task. But unless you are solutions oriented, unless you are action oriented, or going in the direction of solution and actual actions, so that you can actually identify what a problem is, what an idea is, and the steps that it will take to actually get there. But more importantly, you have to incorporate and attach a timeline and a deadline so that you know that you have real intent to actually achieve something. Right. Because what we get caught up in is just talking about it. And people get excited when you just mention Hispanic task force or they're thinking about me. Yeah. You don't need me to just think about you. You need me to move on what it is that you actually need. Right?
I agree.
So what do you have in your community by way of, do you have a Hispanic task force in your community?
Right now we have the one for the city.
Okay, do you know much about the one we have here in Savannah?
I'm part of it.
Okay, so what have been some of your goals?
To bring more representation and language equity to the city.
Okay, and so what have we done to achieve that?
Right now, we the leader of the task force
Come closer.
has been translating. No, I'm okay right here. Yeah, the leader of the city has been translating the some of the announcements that the mayor does.
So the extent of what you want for the Hispanic community is for us to translate our information.
That is the first step. Yes, that is the first step.
And it's taken us 3 years to translate information.
You're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
so
right
action, action and timeline. So
right, but I would say that is a good first step because knowledge is power, right? And we want the community to know what is going on at the city level so they can also be engaged. So I would say that is a good first step, and I like it. Yes, a good first step, and I like it as more. Obviously, we always want more, and I look forward to more. But I have never seen that happen before during all the time that I've been in the city, and so I do like that. But obviously, yes, you're right. More needs to happen.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. More needs to happen. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm excited to see that. In that position, it's a good first step. Yeah, but obviously more needs to happen in terms of inclusion, supporting social issues that impact the community, and just more support in general.
Okay.
Yeah, and I look forward to that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your input.
Yes.
I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So listen, Savannah, you have heard from various people in different positions here at GMA, and my big takeaway for tonight is we're not talking about it. We're not tasking it. We're actioning it. Catch that. Listen, good night, Savannah. We're not tasking it. We're actioning it. I love you. Have a good night.
I like that.